You're not well, Faith.
No, I fainted and smashed my head on the concrete driveway.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness. No good.
That's
No
nuts.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about your injuries, Faith. That sucks.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's, if we could, you were asking some questions in my non-duality Facebook community
Yep.
about fear. Why does fear arise and where does it come from?
Yeah.
So Corey, you can see why I was attracted to your answer, what you just said to Faith.
Totally.
Yeah, because the questioner, the me who has the fear, well, it isn't real, but it feels real, because this is what I'm dealing with every day with clients. It's like, the fear comes from a belief, but the me has the belief. And a lot of the times I can never get to that. So we've just got to establish that it's a thought and a belief about something that causes the fear and work from there. But ultimately, if there's no me, there's no fear.
Yeah, another way of saying that, Faith, is those questions aren't yours.
Yeah, good. Good one.
And so that's what most of my work is getting people to just be able to let fear be there without having an opposition to it, because it isn't yours. It's just a sensation in the body. You can just see it as that. It takes a lot of the threat out of it.
Yeah, I could see myself this morning. I got overcome with fear and guilt and shame. And I could see it was like I had a choice. If I'm going to act upon this, I'm going to get on that spinning wheel of whatever, samsara, or yeah, that addiction thing, or am I going to stay back and sit with that fear? And then I turn on my computer, I have a look on Facebook, and I'm reading that Tim Kliss is saying the fear is not mine. That fear and guilt and shame is not mine. So then I love that, but then I say, well, where does that fear come from, or why is it here? Why is it here?
But here's the thing. I love what Diane said, because she said it's a sensation in the body. But really, when you really feel into that fear, it's just a sensation. It's not even, that sensation itself doesn't say, hi, this is fear. Think about that. The sensation itself doesn't label itself as fear. So something else is labeling it as fear.
Yeah.
That's mind saying that it's fear, but it's not fear. Objectively, it's not even fear. It's a sensation in the body.
Thank you, Corey. Yeah, thank you, Corey, because that reminds me or kicks me back to Scott Killerby's work, which was very helpful to me, where I observed where is that tension in my body, and without putting a label on it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, because this is really about not knowing.
Because that cuts out all stories when there's no knowing.
Yes, Diane, and thank you for what you were saying before too. I'm thinking, you talked about belief, and that rang a bell. It's because there's some belief in there that's causing or adding to or connecting me up, isn't it, with the shame and the blame and the guilt.
And you don't even really have to delve into that or even find it. The fact there is one, there's going to be fear will maybe arise, and and story comes from that. But the only way to get back to the truth is just to observe what's going in the body and be still. That's sort of, I guess, an antidote to identifying with it. When there's no identification with it, it's just a feeling in the body. So if you can get to that,
yeah, thank you.
In those situations.
Thank you. Because I had this distinct impression, if I stay here with it, that's okay. But if I'm going to step out and do something about it, I'm on that wheel. And I'm done with that wheel. I'm sick of that wheel. I know it goes on and on. It's never ending. But the temptation to not get on that, it was, well, it was very hard to resist that,
So this doesn't answer any questions.
Doesn't answer any questions, but it does ask us one basic question, and the answer to that does come, and that's where the freedom does come from. And that basic question is, am I, and for faith, we can ask the question, am I faith? Am I that one? Am I the body faith? Am I the character in the story? Because that's what we need to see. So we do ask that question, and keep going into it. Because the thing is, faith is always going to be on that wheel. There's no, if you want to get off the wheel, if we want to be off the wheel, we have to see that we're not that one, because the character is the wheel. It's all, the character is on the wheel. That's where you find the character. There's no escaping for that one. So it's all about looking and looking and looking to see if I am that one, or to see, are these beliefs true? Are these concepts, do they apply to me? All of this stuff, it's all the same question. That's kind of what we're here to do on Wednesday.
So what is the difference between these words and the bird chirping?
I was thinking that when the bird was chirping, I was thinking there's no meaning. There's no meaning associated with that bird chirping. But if it was words, there's meaning, isn't there? And then that's going to get the thinking going, and then I'm back on the wheel.
And again, faith is on the wheel. She's already on that wheel, and she's listening to the birds. And every time she hears the bird, she is going to be, thrown into this question of, what does that mean? That's the mind. The mind sees something and it has to find out what it means, because the mind is on a search to get the release from, all this information that's going on and all my experience, and, what is this and what is that? So what we see here, though, is that these questions are for the character. There's no freedom in any of these questions. So if we're interested in freedom, we're going back to the question of, am I the character? Am I the body? Am I the story?
Well, the minute you are the story and the character, it's like chains are put on you, like handcuffs and ball and chain on your leg, you know.
Yeah. That's ding ding. Oh, who had the bell? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Yeah.
And then we forget, and then we go back into the story and we forget that we had to put the chains on to even be near the story. It's like admission price. To get into the story, they give you the chains, and now you can be in the story, you know. You have because you have to be the character.
Yeah.
And that character has chains all over. That's the character.
Thanks, Dan.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's all we're here to talk about.
I needed to hear that too.
Well, we're all in the same boat, aren't we, Joan?
God, beam me up, Scotty. It comes and goes. You know, sometimes there's less of whatever it is, and sometimes there's more of whatever it is. Yeah, the me. Me. I love that song Diane played back a while ago. Me.
I've used that a few times this week. I always think about us when it plays.
Yeah, you know, it's like you get caught in the trap that you laid.
Yeah, Muji used to say you log on to the game, and then you're in. So it's about logging out and just staying. He always used to say, looking from personal presence. That used to ring with me. Where are you looking from? Oh yeah, it's personal. Or am I looking from that still space of
the personal perspective. It's a trap.
And Michael, I was listening to Tim Kliss yesterday while I was driving to work in the car, and someone asked a question about observing or perceiving, and he said, you know, there is no perceiver, and I understand that to be there's nothing to find, but perceiving is a function that happens. There's witnessing of whatever. I mean, whether that's a feeling of that you call fear in the body, there's a function there, but that is not a thing. I sort of, when I start to think about that, my head gets a bit scrambled. In my own experience, I can sort of understand what he means. But see, I've come from Muji, who's often talking about perceiving, and I can see that it's throwing me further back, and it had thrown me further back because perceiving is perceived as well. There's knowing perceiving is happening, and where that comes from, no one can say.
Right.
Yeah. But there is the function that's not a thing.
It's interesting, Dan, because Greg Good talks about that, and he talks about eventually he calls it the dissolving of the witness. And then he said once that happened to him, everything just became one. There was no witness, there was no witnessing, there was no, he talks about that in one of his books. I forget which one.
What's his name?
Greg Good, Goode. He's on Facebook, and he's very into the deconstruction. He's got a few books. Michael told me about him. He's got a few books.
Thank you.
Out there. But it's a different take on things. It's a very direct path. It's no mind. It's just very direct deconstruction.
Yeah, he's more like, I was just saying, Terrence Stevens. I think Terrence Stevens is really good at deconstructing. There's just seeing, there's just hearing. The hearing's not labeling what it's hearing. The seeing's not labeling the scene. But I just don't use the word consciousness or awareness because and again, this is just how it hits me. So, but I don't find anything here. So in a way, I feel like I'm just being honest. It's just empty in here, if I'm honest. I can't even find a me in there.
When I examine that, it's really just a word, isn't it? If you say I am consciousness, it's like, well, what is consciousness?
Ding, ding, ding. Get that bell out, Dan. No,
What is that?
that was
It's a nice word.
well, that's the exact thought I have. You nailed it. When I hear the word consciousness or awareness or witness or God, or I hear any word, I go, but what knows that? And then there's just blank.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know.
Come on, Charles, bring it.
Get it going.
Bring it.
You guys are probably like, ah, that guy again. Fuck. You know, I picked up Being and Time by Heidegger last week. Somebody actually gifted it to me. So oddly, I've been diving into deconstructionism myself from the root. And damn, that guy can use words. And he uses the term being. Tries to define being from the time of the Greeks and says, well, you know, the reason they haven't been able to find being is because they haven't included time, right? So being is time, time is being, and it's one consistent now. But he's more concerned about what it's not than what it is. But to me, words like awareness and consciousness and being, experience, yeah, there's no, you know, ontologically, there can't be any there behind those words because it's inadequate, but there is experience. It might be nothing, but we've all got an experience here. It might be arguably the same experience. We're all having the same experience. But to me, there is being, consciousness, experience, awareness, love, whatever you want to call it. There's something there.
The problem with that is saying there's something there, whatever you want to call it, you're in subject object. And when you're in subject object, that's just a modality. It's a concept. And it's duality.
Well, you can, yeah, that's what he wrote a 500-page, very confusing book about. But nonetheless, you know, out of the world of subject, object, calling things, experience.
Well, I just want to say a word about resonance, the R word, resonance, because I hear this talked about non-duality in two different ways to my ear. So one is there's a capital S, a big self, and you're the little self. And you got to let go of that little self and you got to find your real self, which is the big self. Okay, that's one way. And to me, that hits me the same as, well, you're really, this is just consciousness. And it's all consciousness. So you're not the little me you think you are, you're consciousness. But like Diane said earlier, what comes here is what would know that? What would know that this is consciousness?
Self. In that taxonomy, self. And maybe he doesn't even know, maybe it's just an experience.
No, I'm asking you though, Charles, what would know? Because you said, I'm just curious, because I don't know. So, and I notice people tend to talk about this in two different ways. Like they talk about, well, now I'll tell you one thing I can kind of this is as close as I can get. I heard Tim talk about there's just being, or there's not I am, there's just am. So I am is the personal, the I. So the I could be the me.
I mean, it's just what, I mean, self, the original sort of self that people were talking about in non-duality stuff, that self is the same as consciousness, which was
Right.
the unity of the word. And the problem that you're talking about there is the same as what Corey talks about. And it's immediately when you start talking about it, you're in subject, object, and you're in a host of, you're in duality once you start talking about it. Yet is.
Okay, so
I mean, we're all
Charles,
is, right? We're all here. We can see, let's deal with what we can see, right? It's here.
okay, great. So now this is the thing. So to go back to Heidegger, there's being. And kind of what we're pointing to is that who you are is the being, and it gets a little confused when you take it to the next step. So the next step is what is showing up. What is showing up is in time, and it has, all the qualities. So as you said, being isn't anything until it shows up as something in time, in space, with qualities, right?
Well, I think you would say it's beyond things. Being is beyond things.
Right, being is beyond things, right? So being, until there's things, we can't say anything about being. And right, that's why there's no word for who you are, because we need the thingness of things to start
Because
saying.
that's the way the language works, right?
Yeah, but your question is, who are you? Because when we talk about Charles as the thing, the one with history that,
That's ephemera. That's arguably not even there.
yeah, well, but okay, so then who is the one that has problems? Who do those problems apply to? Do they apply to the being, or do they apply to this creation, this thing?
Who said there's any problems?
Well, I've heard about it. No, you didn't say it, but okay, problems or experiences or whatever, a story to tell.
Yeah.
Okay,
Those
I don't know.
projections. Those are the metaphor of mistaking the movement on the screen for the screen.
I'm suggesting that the being is what's real. And everything else, the thinginess of things that we tell the story about is nothing that I actually have access to. It's nothing that I live. The being is what I am. And again, some kind of transformation has to happen for me to become that thing that's in the story, that has the experiences, that has the problems or no problems or whatever. And what we're pointing to is that we've identified as that second thing, as the thing. That's what happens through the conditioning. But that being that Heidegger points to, he's calling it being. We usually end up saying that there's no word for it, but there are lots of words that are used. Consciousness was another one, God, true nature, whatever. But it's whatever that thing that isn't showing up as anything in particular. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're all on the same page, but then people start talking about, Michael was saying, Diane was saying, who experiences the awareness? Who experiences the consciousness? For them, that metaphor breaks down.
Yeah, well, it's going to break down no matter what.
Yeah.
Because there isn't any who. The who breaks down.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just being. It's just awareness. It's just consciousness.
Well,
I like what you said, Dan. You said something interesting. You said something has to happen to become that thing. I don't know if you caught that. And what I immediately thought of was, and we've spoken about this, when you're a newborn, right? When you're a newborn, you are consciousness and there's no me. But suddenly, as you get older, there is a me.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, right? That me got developed, but
Right.
you're still the same consciousness that you were when you were a baby, but just with no me.
Right.
How could that change? That couldn't change.
We've forgotten. That's another,
Right.
another way of saying,
That's a way to say it.
we're here to remember that. And it's like Diane was just saying a minute ago about, well, but how do we have perception and no perceiver? And how that can get confused. Because I feel, well, it was not confusing to the baby. When you were a baby, there was plenty of perception all over, but there was no perceiver. That perceiver had to get built up very slowly. Sort of like the, you know, that the being is still there, that pure perception is still always here. It didn't go away, but it just kind of got twisted in with the person, you know, and now we kind of are untwisting. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, I wanted to know if I could ask a question.
Yes. This
What
is
is-
question.
What is hearing these words?
Again,
What is hearing these words?
the indescribable. These words just are.
No, but there's a great joy, right? So you're a painter, right, Peter? You painted all those behind you. There's a great freedom and a joy when the ownership is not there.
Mm-hmm.
Is the ownership, is the thinking that it's mine that ruins the party every time.
And so Muji would say that's the beingness. The beingness is hearing everything. The beingness is, it's the only real thing. We just use that word. Go ahead.
Well, that's one of his questions. He used to ask that Purana question, can the seer be seen? And he said, when you don't need to have an answer, but just in the retrospection of that is the question that gets eaten up in that. And I can tell you, when there's been realization or contemplation of that, there's a feeling that comes that is just divine. I don't know what that is, but I've been reduced to tears, beautiful tears, just in the contemplation of that. That's a joy that just washes over you, and who knows where that comes from. Just in that contemplation or the realization. I don't even know how you explain what happens in that moment.
You found it.
Still, yeah.
Found it.
You're not there.
It's just amazing.
Pure being.
You can sense that unconditional love, or all of those, adjectives we call it. You can just sense that.
It doesn't go anywhere. That unconditional love is here right now. It's all that. Oh, well, we will admit Amy. Here you go, Ron's better half. What the hell what was I just saying? Did anyone get that?
It's really important.
Oh, actually, there's someone here that left. Let's see, I think Nkosi's here. I got something to say to that guy. From South Africa in the house, right, Corey? South Africa. Come on. It's 3 a.m. there.
It's 3 a.m.
Yeah. I don't want to hear any whining.
That's dedication.
Yeah. But he left the most beautiful comment. Well, it takes longer for South Africa to log on. There he is. That's the guy. Nkosi, can you hear me? I see you. See if you can hear us. Nkosi?
Hello, hello. I'm sorry I'm late.
No worries. Listen, my man. I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. Can you say a few words about that lovely comment that you left?
The one on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, the thing is, I just woke up right now. Right now.
Oh,
So I'm just empty at the moment.
perfect. I know. I told them it was 3 a.m. there, and that
Yeah.
so I didn't want to hear any excuses from them because 3 a.m. South Africa, we all are just in awe. So thank you for being here. But I will get it started. And it just touched me when you said that it's all everything. And everything is everything means whether you feel like a me or don't feel like a me doesn't matter a bit.
Exactly. Whether you do the me understands or it doesn't understand, it doesn't matter to this, because all is this. Even the me that is trying to understand is still this. Even the one who says I don't understand is still this. So all is this. We can't escape this because, you know, it's impossible. It's undescribable. It is as it is. No matter which direction we take, the me takes is still this. So how can the me escape this? Because even the me is still this. So I'm speechless. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if the one says I don't understand, the one who says I do understand. So it doesn't touch this. This remains as it is. It's spaciousness. It's empty.
Well, empty though it may be, it's sure nice to hear you say this.
It's empty and full at the same time.
Thank you, Nkosi. It brings tears to my eyes to hear that. I think Diane was wiping her eyes too. It's just such a relief. After more than 70 years of striving and struggling to end up here in this group, I can't describe how good it is.
Christ talked about that, but I think he got misunderstood a bit. Said it doesn't matter whether you're in the beginning of your life or the end of your life, any point in time, you get there and
Yeah.
Yeah, the beauty of this is that knowing isn't any better than not knowing.
I just get the sense that it leaves that me identity with absolutely nowhere to go. Just plonk, just silent, just nothing to say. And when that's settled down, then this somehow I can feel the spaciousness and the love, and it's almost like that little me person pops up trying to, I don't know, get my attention and takes it away from the eternal peace that's been here all the time.
Yeah, Tim talked about during his seeking days, he thought it was all about the action, which I take to mean movement. And he said, and it's kind of, with it, he said, bloody hell, who would have thought that it's in this, fucking stillness? The thing that doesn't move, just this.
It seems like a play. Seems like a play because all this is just as it is. The one who talks to that one, the one who's saying something to that one, still this. It's all, including this character. That is Ngosi. It is seen in this. All is this. This is amazing. It's amazing.
Exactly. It really does leave you speechless because we're talking about, a bug on the ground. I was, talking to this fruit fly on my wall, telling him he had to go because he kept flying toward me. I said, if you keep coming over here, I have to ask you to go out. And he did it again. I said, okay. So I had to go get a cup and a napkin, and he was good. We went outside and he was free. But when you just, it's expressing itself in 1,000 ways right in front of your face. Every moment. It's just saying, look at this. But we're so self-absorbed. When we're lost in our stories, we miss the moment. And so it's just boring.
I remember the example you once gave at your apartment, Michael, about the water bottle and how, holding a water bottle out 20 feet, you can see the whole water bottle. But when the water bottle is right in front of your face, you can't see anything but the bottle. And that's kind of what the me does, because the me's problems are so important that it doesn't realize that there's a colony of ants out there and birds up there and people in apartments in Australia doing their own thing. It just doesn't see the totality because it's so consumed with its own problems. And it's really sad because there is so much going on, and that's life.
So yeah, like Nkosi said, it's so full and so empty simultaneously. So the emptiness is completely filled with this. It's completely whole. And I want to say that it's not broken. the me's, the linchpin of the me is the claim that something is broken and I need to fix it. And if I can communicate one thing, is that life is not broken. Life is as it is. I say it's broken when I don't get what I want. And then when I get what I want, I say, oh, look, my law of attraction is really working. Thank you for laughing, Corey.
Well, because, you know, for now it's working. Talk to me in 6 months.
Well, the problem, I mean, don't get me started on the law of attraction, but if you're responsible for the good stuff, then you're going to have to accept the guilt and the blame, because you can't have one side of the stick. So that's a no-win. That you're the doer, right? So I've got free will and I can, so eventually that can be seen as suffering. How about this? It's like life is saying this, and the me is saying no. Dan, didn't you make a post that? I mean, basically the me is a no.
Yeah, I might have said that. Any arguments?
No.
Yeah, the me, I mean, everything that Nkosi just pointed to, it's all yes. That's what we're talking about here. But not for the me. For the me, it's all no. Me is no. And then it's trying to find a yes as a thing, because the me thinks it's a thing. And if you're a thing, then you're already no, because yes is what it is. Yes is everything. But me can't see that. Me is already, to bring Muji back, this is Muji Day. The thumbnail, if you put your thumb up, it blocks out the sun. Just because I'm sitting in the me position, that's a no. There's no sun. And every me is there. That's the me, looking at the sun and just seeing the thumb. And then it tries to do something about it, but there isn't anything to do except see that I'm not me. I'm not that thing. I'm not anything. And what I'm looking for is not ever going to be a thing. It's not going to be a change in the movement. It's not going to be something that's going to come tomorrow or in the next whatever. It's only here, already here as this. That's what's available. And that's what everybody is looking for.
It's not anything that you can get. It's also not anything you can have taken away.
Exactly.
Yes, there's nothing you can do to earn it. You can't earn it and you can't lose it. You can do nothing. And there's such freedom in that, because think how hard, I don't know about you, but God, trying so hard for so long to bend life to your will.
And if I'm feeling like I'm not seeing that, you know, as Nkosi was saying, you know, even if whatever I'm feeling, if I'm feeling the chains and the frustration and just that's still it. It's always it. It's never not it. It's nothing that's not it. But if I am feeling, I'm not feeling the it and I'm feeling the not it. In other words, I'm feeling my story. That's because there is some holding on to the story somehow is happening, and that will tend to go away the more conscious I become of all this stuff that we're talking about. That's kind of also the idea of why we're here. Because even though there's nothing to do and there's really nothing, there's no one, somehow at the same time, just by, you know, just hanging out in the talking about it, the bringing it to the attention, the noticing, it tends to loosen this conditioning, because the conditioning is kind of, there's something that's holding it on, you know, the chains holding this thing together for a while. But you know, there is really nothing to do about anything except, you know, it's good to point it out, you know, to point out what back to the word satsang. You don't call this satsang anymore, but we used to. And that word really just means coming to the truth of things, because the conditioning tends to replace the truth in our experience with this other thing. So, but I guess what I'm very long-windedly trying to say is that there's a loosening, because that thing will go away by itself. What's holding on, the conditioning, that habit will go. And there's really nothing to do about any of this.
There are no rules. Rules are for me. I have rules. And when people don't follow my rules, I get angry. That's the world of the me. I'm in judgment, right? Yeah?
Well, the implication of the word rule is that it's everyone's rule. And every me has different rules. So how do you win that game? I mean, that's just futility.
And rules always just apply to the story. They never apply to this. They just don't. I mean, there aren't any rules to this because this hasn't happened before. That's one reason.
Yeah.
There's nothing to know about this. In order to have rules, you got to know what your rule is applying to and all that. That works very well within the story. We've learned all that very well, and we will, continue. That's the story works on rules, So again, it always goes back to seeing, well, what am I in here? Am I the one in the story that I thought I was, that I learned, in elementary school? Or wait a minute, am I just what's here that doesn't have a name?
I love that, Dan. How do you apply a rule to a unique moment?
Yeah, exactly. Since this is all there is, yeah? This is all there is. What could you be comparing this to? There's nothing other than this. You've never experienced anything other than this from which to compare it to. So all the comparisons are fantasy.
And if the rules worked, we'd all be using the rules to get happy, because that's what we all want to do. You know, that would have happened a long time ago. But the rules are not about that. The rules are all for the character in the story to, you know,
Yeah.
achieve things in the story. But
Well, if I have rules, then I need somebody to follow the rules. Then I have to catch them when they don't follow. It's a never-ending, full-time. Oh, it's perfect for me. But that's not what we're here for. I mean, this is all story, but in a way, it's just resigning from the me business. It's like there can still be a me. This is kind of what I want to say. There can still totally be a sense of a me there, but it's just not yours.
Michael.
Oh, Amy.
Yeah. So I always know when the me is alive and well when I've lost my sense of humor.
Yes.
But when I'm just like laughing at the whole thing, the craziness, the ups, the downs, it's a pretty good indication that the me has kind of not being taken too seriously.
Oh, absolutely. How many can relate to that? That when the me's on the scene, it's very serious and it's definitely not funny. Yeah, I agree, Amy. That's such a red flag. Yeah.
and really, there's nothing really funny to the me. I mean, this is not anything to laugh about if you're a me, really, really. I mean,
Yeah. And that's why most will not be attracted to this message. Most people will, what's the first question? Well, what's in it for me? Well, nothing. Why would I come to your meeting?
Not ready to give up the ghost.
Well, that's the point, Joan. You can't give up the ghost because you were never the ghost. The ghost is the ghost. The me is the me. It's just not yours. It's like you didn't make that. You know, they talk about innocence, right? The innocence. Like I was thinking about that. I go, nobody consciously did this. You didn't sit there trying to become a me. So it's not like you're going to be able to try and not be a me. Both of those are illusory. But neither have to do with you. It is as it is.
What, like, it comes and goes, you know, it just comes and goes. That's my experience right now.
Yeah, but it's backwards from the way you're thinking. It's not that this comes and goes, it's that Joan comes and goes. This doesn't go anywhere. This is always here, ever present and fresh.
A wordless space. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, where does everything, Faith was asking, like, where does fear come from? Well, if I was going to write you a response, I was going to turn around, Faith, and ask you, where does anything come from? Yeah. Any last comments or questions before we close out this evening?
I want to show you Louis. Louis, we're on the road.
Louis, Louis,
Louis enlightened already, but he likes to sit in on the whole thing.
I
yeah,
want to pet him. I want to give him a pet.
look at that face.
All right, there's the driver.
Yay.
All right, you guys, have a good night.
Thanks, all of you guys. Thank you so much to everyone for coming. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Those that sent in donation, thank you so much. And I'll try and get this on YouTube in the next 24 to 48 hours. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good
Bye.
job, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Michael. Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Michael.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.